Hello and welcome to the show. Now, as regular viewers will know, we showcase chargers here on the show quite often, and it tends to be chargers for cars, either for domestic use or for business fleets. However, I'm delighted to be joined today by Paul Kirby, the electric van expert and long-time friend of the show, and he's here on behalf of Vital EV to take through what charging options are available for businesses who run fleets of vans, buses and trucks. I mean, they're really big pieces of kit. So welcome, Paul. It's really good to see you again. Now, just before we start, can we just talk about Vital EV's contribution to Fully Charged Live this year, which is the biggest show we've ever done. It was absolutely amazing, and these were really critically important bits of kit.
Well, you know, Robert, as you rightly say, the show was brilliant. It was an amazing show with the commercial vehicle zone, like, really came to life this year with some cracking kit. Big stuff, you know, bin lorries and six-wheelers go anywhere stuff. And so it was exciting to bring that to being at the show. But the Vital EV stuff, so I've been working with Vital EV for about a year. They're very much focused on commercial vehicle charging. So that's where they're making their way. And at Vital EV, we supported you with all of the charging for the site. So not just commercial vehicles, but everything from motorbikes all the way up through to the double-decker buses. And, you know, to see these machines at work charging all those vehicles for the demos and for getting people around was brilliant.
Right.
Charging that works all the time.
Because the other thing was this, when I first saw this, the T-Series, I saw these at the show. These are really interesting because they're so unlike what you would see as a car driver. You're not going to come across one of these at the motorway services. So tell me about this.
Well, the joy of the T-Series is it's a pop-up charging depot, if you like, a charging hub, which is what we did at the Fully Charged Live show. But really out there in the real world, as well as being, I mean, these supplied energy to all the bigwigs in COP26, so these were one of the major hubs there. But they also provide charging for bin lorries, the type of vehicle that we had at the show there, and they go out with every delivery because when you've got a mobile charging system, so basically this is a no-faff, plug it in, charge your commercial vehicle or car, whatever it is, you just plug it in and get on with it. It moves into place with the wheels, you can adjust it. So you imagine the bin lorry parked in a depot. You don't have to move the bin lorry to go and charge it, so You just wheel up the charger, plug it in. So you need a 63 amp plug, you plug it in and then wheel it into place and start charging. So it's a really efficient, effective piece of kit. You've got dual port, it's a DC charger, so delivering up to 40 kilowatts, but 20 kilowatts per channel if you're splitting it. And another great little feature of the T-Series is that you can use the QR code. It's one of my favorite things. QR code, it puts the charging session onto your mobile phone so you know exactly when you're charged.
Right. So then most big commercial buildings then would have a 63 amp feed. Right.
Feed, yeah. So basically it's what they call a commando socket. You will typically see it with a red cap on it, and it's a 5-pin plug. You just plug it in, that delivers the power, which then goes in as DC charging into the vehicle that you're looking to charge. It's a very, very simple process, and most warehouses, commercial depots will have something like that. Could be 125, could be 32, but you just adjust that to make this machine work. So it's brilliant.
So I know Vital don't just do the mobile charger, if you like, but the S series, the kind of installed one, which is such a great looking machine. So
it is a great looking thing, and it's really unique in its own space because, you know, as you can see, it's got a really small footprint, the footprint of like an A4 piece of paper, and you know, if you were to measure that comparison to a lot of other chargers out, you're getting more power per piece of footprint than you would otherwise get from any other charger, up to 400 kilowatts, you know, with the right cable and with the right modules that would support it. But the great thing about the S series, it works with the C series cabinet, which we'll talk about in a bit, but it allows you to deploy your charging in hard to get to places without taking up too much space. And in a commercial vehicle world, you know, space is at a premium. You're in your depots, they're already close. You want the flexibility which you get from the cable management, which is really good, but also the small footprint. And again, you've got that wonderful QR code that you can just tap and carry with you exactly where you are with your charging. So these work as a satellite to a sort of a hub and spoke kind of system that we put together. And of course, the movable piece of kit comes in and fills in the gaps, which is great.
So tell me about the C series. I don't know what the C series is.
We haven't got one
we
here.
got the S. Oh, so the C series is big.
It is big, yeah, and it's big to house modules like this. So we've got movable and we've got the modular, and you can build that out as you like and make it scalable, because you can start with 50 kilowatts. This is a 50 kilowatt module here, so you just plug that in and that delivers the power to the S series. The S series can then split it onto 1 or 2 charge points at 25 kilowatts or 50, depending on what the setup is. But then you can just add to that, so that each cabinet will take 200 kilowatts, so 4 of these modules. And then you can add 2 more cabinets to connect it all together, ultimately delivering up to 600 kilowatts.
Wow.
And we've got the 400 kilowatt version of the S series. So it allows you to deliver a lot of power. And we know from our research that commercial vehicles are going to demand so much more from bigger batteries at much higher speeds. You would just never charge them otherwise.
Yeah.
So the C series cabinet allows you to put the energy where you want it, where you've got space. Working with the S series allows you to deliver the power into the areas that you need. And again, you've got the T series to wheel in and fill in the gaps.
And it's the sort of thing where you could start with maybe 2, there's that thing where you don't have to go the whole hog right
absolutely.
from the beginning, I'm assuming. Yeah.
But that's the thing, Robert, the challenge that many businesses have got is not enough power.
Yes.
But we want to be able to get started.
Yeah.
So you've got the T series, which you can plug into a 63 amp plug. It means that you don't have to upgrade the system. But where you've got enough power, you can put in your 50 kilowatt C series, or make it 100, depending on when you've got enough power. And if you can then maybe add solar and batteries and other things like that, you can build it out. So you don't have to kind of go all the way. You can go some of the way and move as you go, as you develop and add to your fleet or add to the vehicle. So yeah, very much about building it as you go.
And then the software, which is, I think, from my experience of electric vehicles, kind of critical.
Yeah.
It really is important. But a lot of domestic chargers that we've got in our homes now are getting much smarter.
Yeah.
You can set the time and all that. Have you got that sort of software built into these machines?
Yeah, absolutely. And this has all been set up. The company behind Kempower is a company called Kempi, and Kempi started out their life in mining. So, remote understanding of equipment has been absolutely built in at the core. So the Charge Eye system, which is the eyes on the charge, if you would like, gives you understanding of what's happening in the charge. So it'll even show you the charge curve. It'll allow you to stop and start charging. It will also identify who's charging, which is going to be very important in the fleet world. Which vehicle is on charge at any given time. So it reads an address that's in the battery management system called the MAC address. All of these things allow a fleet manager to really drill into what they are doing and how the job is performing. And of course, if something's going to go wrong, the Charge Eye system is able to identify that even before it happens, therefore being able to kind of mitigate any kind of downtime, which when it comes to commercial vehicles is really not good.
Right.
So from scheduling to managing the charges to vehicle ID, everything's covered in the Charge Eye system.
Right. And that system you were telling me about with the QR code.
Yeah.
I can't help thinking that would be quite useful on like your public charger for
Totally.
even because you've got apps and everything, but to actually have something that's that simple that you go blip and you can see how much your car's charging.
Yes,
it's kind of a
absolutely.
good thing.
And we're working with public charge point operators, CPOs, to deliver this kind of charging for people so that they can walk up, hit the QR code, and so you've got the Charge Eye, which is the back office, the fleet management sort of stuff, but for the individual driver, it can actually be a really useful tool just to be able to see exactly when their vehicle is going to be ready, because it predicts, the 20, 50, 60, 70, tells you when it's going to be ready. So that is really, really helpful and allows you to manage it yourself, but also for the fleet manager to be able to manage it as well.
So then in terms of where these chargers kind of fit in best, I'm assuming it's the commercial sector is really where the focus is that right?
Yeah, I mean, that from Vital EV's point of view, we are focused on that commercial vehicle sector. The reason being is because the way that we can configure through that Charge Eye system, the systems and really manage them to maximize the uptime. So, think back to what I was saying about the origins of this equipment. In mining sort of scenarios, you need to be able to make sure that the kit is working all of the time because downtime is critical. Yeah. So translate that to the commercial vehicle area and you get exactly that same need. So the fleet manager needs to keep these things working. And also there are times when, through the Charge Eye system, again, you can prioritize. So a bus comes in late, it's not going to have enough charge, it maybe broke down on the road or something happened.
Yeah.
It comes in late, it's going to need all the charge. So we have a thing called dynamic power management, which is another module in the C series, which allows you to adjust how much power is going into each individual charger. So the one that we want to prioritize, we can say divert all the available power that vehicle can take into that one vehicle at that one time.
So you could have like 10 buses plugged in, but you kind of turn 9 of them down.
Yeah, well, the dark art of charging, right? The charging curve and all of that kind of stuff. So we can look at where each charge is in its cycle, and then if there's more power available from this one, we can put it over here. So it's a great way of being able to manage a fleet. And commercial fleets need to be kept moving, and understanding that something's going wrong even before it's happened. We can deploy our engineers and make sure, and that's the thing about Vital EV, it's the background of engineering and service delivery that is paramount in this sector, because downtime, you can't afford it.
Yeah, if your income depends on something moving, you kind of need it to move.
Yeah, exactly. So if the wheels are not turning, the vehicle's not earning, there we go. But it's so true. And, commercial value of a vehicle on the road every day, as an average, is well over £700.
Right.
But then you move into the truck world, you're into thousands of pounds. So if that vehicle is left without charge when it's due to go out, you're wasting thousands of pounds. We can't afford that, and that's why Vital EV have the highest levels of service and 4-hour SLAs to make sure that the equipment's being maintained and is working effectively.
Have Vital always been involved in vehicle charging? Is that their background?
Well, do you know what? The good news is, no. Because I think there's a lot of companies out there that have jumped into charging and don't fully understand the need on the other side. So the great thing about Vital EV for me, and why I wanted to work with them, was because they began in power, just delivering power. So the origins of the company, they've spent time in big sort of multinational companies, delivering power in all the difficult places. So they started that in the UK and built a reputation about delivering uninterruptible power supply, or UPS as the industry might know it, and keeping warehouses, hospitals alive when the power goes. Exactly. And it's that kind of mentality that they've brought to EV charging. So it's not about just sticking a box on the wall or wheeling up something. It's about kind of delivering a service level. So I think Vital worked with Kempower because it is reputably very robust, very reliable, so that we can deliver on those 4-hour SLAs, because they're not going to go wrong as much. As I say, coming back to that, built into working in mining environments, gives us that robustness that we need.
So I take it there's kind of a team of engineers on standby all the time?
Absolutely, Robert. We've got a team of engineers covering the whole country. We make them work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on Christmas Day. But it's great because they're out meeting the SLAs of 4 hours that we give to our customers to make sure the kit is up and running all of the time.
So, I mean, there's one thing I think we can all take for certain at the moment, is there's going to be an enormous amount of growth in electric commercial vehicles in the next few years. So, I mean, what is the next step for Vital EV?
So one of the biggest challenges, Robert, is to innovate to be able to meet the need of the changing market. And we're working with partners to see how we can help mitigate the power demand at the depots, because that's one of the biggest challenges. It's restricting fleets being able to add vehicles. And when we think of commercial vehicles in that particular area that we're growing in, trucks, they're right at the beginning, but they're very high in their power demand. So we're seeing batteries of 400 and 600 kilowatt hours, and they take a long time and a lot of power. So that is one key area that we're working on. But of course, we've got the business as usual rollouts of charge point operators really beginning to grow into the market, and also some big charging hubs like the bus depots that we talked about. So they're all kind of keeping us really busy, but we're really looking forward to seeing the growth in the van sector, which is obviously close to my heart, and also the truck sector, and we're, buses, coaches, all of that is going electric, and much faster than we first thought. So lots to do.
So where can people find out more about Vital EV?
Well, traditionally get to the website, vital-ev.co.uk. And of course, we've got a really great LinkedIn page, which has got lots of sound bites and information where people can really get to know who we are.
Thanks so much, Paul. And all the links to Vital EV are in the description box beneath this episode. We've also done episodes with Paul and Andy Talbot on commercial vehicles. It's worth checking those out if you're interested. And that's it. As always, if you have been, thank you for watching.